Dan Bullman Photography. So about a week ago, I posted a video asking you to send me your questions so that I could do a Q&A video. So I've looked through all your questions and we're going to be tackling those right now. So without further ado, let's answer some questions. Christopher May asks, you have some amazing photos of people that look very natural and not posed. How do you find the people that you photograph and how do you get them to look so natural in front of the camera? Chris, thank you for your question. A lot of the people that I photograph are actually just people that I'm friends with or acquaintances that I meet through photography. I go to a lot of local photography meetups here in Boston, and at these events, a lot of time the people who are the photographers end up having their photos taken, vice versa. So that's most of the people that are in my photos that you see on my Instagram feed are people that I'm friends with or people that I recently met and are more of acquaintances or becoming friends. But it's a lot of people who are just interested in photography. I have had some success reaching out to models on Instagram and doing shoots, but that's a little bit more of a crapshoot. It's, reaching out to somebody you don't know. It's harder to set something up and those sorts of things. But there's a variety of ways that I've found people to photograph, but a lot of them are just people that I'm already friends with, which helps in terms of comfort in front of the camera. They already know me. They're interested in photography as well, so it's easier to get them to pose and look a little bit more relaxed. And as far as some of the photos maybe looking unposed, I think some of that just has to do with me still needing to learn how to direct models a little bit better. I have a couple of sort of go-to poses that I ask people to do in my back pocket, but for the most part, I'm still relatively inexperienced in directing models. So, hope that answers your question. Korova Love asks, what are your favorite non-people things to photograph? And what do you think of using expired film for aesthetic purposes? Aside from portraits, I think my favorite things to photograph are architecture and cityscapes. I go out and explore Boston a lot and try to find interesting views of the city, interesting scenes. Also into street photography a little bit, but I find that I'm not quite as talented at street photography as maybe some of my more cityscape shots and portraits. And as far as using expired film for aesthetic purposes, I think it's great. I think anything you can do to get a more interesting result or something that's maybe a little bit more unpredictable can be very interesting for creative purposes. So I think it's great to shoot with expired film if you can get your hands on some. I think the only expired film I ever shot with was a roll of Ektachrome slide film that was expired sometime in the 90s, and I actually got great results from that. Granted, it was frozen for a long time, so the film has stayed relatively well preserved. But I've seen other people do some interesting things with film that's been damaged by heat, so I think it's great to use expired film if you can get your hands on some. Erik Wahlstrom asks, what's your dream camera/lens setup? What are your strongest abilities and where do you think you can improve as a photographer? Erik Wahlstrom. I feel like I've heard of this guy. Thanks for the question, Erik. If you guys don't know, Erik has a YouTube channel as well on film photography, so definitely check that out if you haven't seen his channel. I'm sure you probably have if you're watching my channel, but I'll link to his channel in the show notes. So, Erik, I think this question will change depending on when you ask it, so I think right now my dream camera and lens setup would probably be a Hasselblad X-Pan. I think that panoramic camera is really cool and I'd like to get my hands on one. They're very expensive, so that's probably why it's more of an aspirational or dream camera. Also, a lens that I want to get for my Nikon F3 is the Zeiss Planar 50mm f1.4, and that's a little bit more affordable compared to the X-Pan, so I actually think I will buy that lens at some point and test it out with my Nikon F3, which is probably my favorite 35mm film camera. But also I think if I just had unlimited funds that I would just shoot all day with my Polaroid SX70. I absolutely love shooting with this camera. It's a different style of photography obviously than the more control you get with 35mm or medium format, but I just love the aesthetic of Polaroid and I think that's probably what I would go to. In terms of my strongest abilities, I think I'm best at shooting portraits at this time. I seem to be able to set up portrait shots better than, say, street photography or landscapes or even cityscapes. So I think that's something that I'm pretty good at. As far as where I could improve, I think I could improve a little bit in terms of directing models and directing the people that I'm photographed to pose in more interesting ways, and then coming up with just more interesting creative concepts rather than just having a photograph of a pretty person. Just coming up with more interesting ideas and trying to be more creative and giving a little bit more direction to the models. So thank you for your question. 12 months, 12 cameras asks, so not considering money, film price, processing, whatever, what is your favorite film format to shoot and why? Thank you for your question, Mike. Mike runs the 12 months, 12 cameras YouTube channel here, where he reviews a different film camera each month and does a video on them. So you should check out his channel as well if you haven't already done so. So in terms of favorite film formats, I think, again, it would probably be Polaroids. I just love the way they look. But again, you know, shooting Polaroids is fairly expensive. It comes out to about $3 a photo, so it's not something that I do every day. But if I were rich and just had unlimited funds, I think I would probably shoot that. Other than that, maybe medium format film. I really like shooting medium format slide film, medium format color negative film as well. And that's a little bit pricier than 35mm per photo, but it's something that I really enjoy shooting. So I would say probably either medium format film, just because of the great detail you get with it, or Polaroids, just because of the interesting aesthetic and unpredictable character of the photos. Thank you all for your questions. This was a really fun video for me to do, and I'm hoping to do more Q&A videos in the future, just to get a little bit more feedback from you guys on the channel and on film photography. So again, I'm going to do a Korea vlog here coming up. It's been taking me a long time to get the footage compiled and getting myself in front of the camera to talk a little bit about my experience and then putting all that together. It's been a lot more work than I expected initially, so that'll be coming out this week though. And I'm also going to be doing some more videos on film stock reviews and camera reviews coming up. I'm still not sure what the schedule's going to look like in terms of what videos are coming out when. I have a bunch of film to send off to the lab to get developed, so once I get some photos back, I'll start culling through them and trying to do some videos on a few different film stocks that I've shot recently. As always, if you like these videos, please subscribe by clicking on the red box next to my head or by clicking on the subscribe link down below. If you have any other questions, you can feel free to leave a comment below. Always love hearing feedback from you guys, and I love just reading through the comments and responding to them. Really just keeps me going and helps me continue to do this channel. So love to hear from you guys. So we'll see you soon. This has been another episode of Dan Bullman Photography. Peace.